Want to cook the perfect hard-boiled egg every single time? In this video, I'm going to show you how. Hint, I'm going to use one of these. Jack Arizona Hot Homestead. And you know, I like hard-boiled eggs, but I can never seem to make them absolutely perfect. I know, just put them in the hot water, boil them, right? Something always seems to go. They're not always perfect. They're overcooked. They're undercooked. They're always, you know, the shell doesn't come off very well. Whatever the case may be. I'm thinking, I want to make my life easy. I'm going to use one of these. So let me show you all the parts to this, and then we're going to cook some eggs. So for hard-boiled eggs, medium-boiled, soft-boiled eggs, this Cuisinart's egg cooker will do the job for you. It also will do poaching and even omelettes. So gives you some, I'm not, by the way folks, I'm not being paid by Cuisinart. I had to buy this. They wouldn't even give it to me. I'll put a link down below so you can pick one up at Amazon, but yeah, I just like it and I'm sharing it with you. So on the back here it gives you some instructions, or not instructions, but it gives you some description of each of your parts there. Kind of windy day. Little measuring cup here. Little egg poker right there. Holds like, what did I say, 10? So you put 7 down in here. You could do 2, you could do 1, you could do 4, 6, whatever. I know 10 is weird, huh? Because you got a dozen eggs in a carton. This goes on top for the other 3. These are for your poaching and your omelets. These are just egg holders. Some instructions with some recipes, and a 10 cap with some air vents on top here. So let me show you some eggs. We're going to do some eggs. So let me show you some eggs. Oh, gotta plug it in too. All right, here we are. We're inside. Now we're going to do some eggs. Here I've got my egg. Now these are just, what size are they? They're considered large eggs. If you notice on the egg, there's a point down here and up here is a little wider. That's considered the top. In most egg cartons, that's the way that they set. So unless people's moved them around. Now if you're doing your fresh eggs from your chickens or so, which I'll have sometime next year I hope, then you obviously want to have your bigger side because that's considered the top. There's a little air gap up in there. What you do is, on this guy here, there's a poker down here. There's a little plastic tube thing to keep you from poking yourself. And then you just poke the egg. Get it in there good. I don't know how well this would come out, but especially in the lighting here, but there's a little hole right in there. That's your relief hole. I'm only going to do 4 eggs today, and you set it up right. Now you do that for every single one of your eggs. So now I've got my 4 eggs in here. Obviously you can put up to 10. Now, you also want to clean this out on the bottom so that any of the egg stuff doesn't build up on there. You also want to, with each one of these eggs, rinse them off because you don't know what's been on the egg. And if you have fresh eggs, like from your real chickens and stuff, real chickens, like they make fake chickens that produce eggs. But from your chickens, you still want to clean them off because there's a membrane over your fresh eggs, your chicken eggs, that protects the egg itself. That's why you can keep them out in room temperature. And these you have to put in the refrigerator because they're store-bought, because they've already got that cover, that protective cover removed. So you want to make sure it's removed, make sure it's clean, and you put it in here. Now here's the other part. Don't use your faucet water. You actually want to use some, I don't know how well that's coming out there, some distilled water. Okay. Reason why you want to use distilled water is because distilled water has nothing but H2O in it. There's no minerals, there's no metals, there's no nothing. Now it's not going to come out very clear, but there are some markings on here, and I've got the water right up there, that top marking. And then I'm just going to pour it in here. We're going to take the lid, put the lid right over it, plug her in, and then there's a switch right down here. Now you got the blue light, and now you wait. It takes about 15 minutes or so, regardless of how many eggs I put in there. It seems to take about 15-20 minutes. I'm not going to have you guys wait that long, so we're just going to wait, and then I'll show what happens when it buzzes. Do you hear it boiling? I've got my mic up next to it. The water boiled pretty fast. Now just so you know, I also have this water here, because when we're done, we're going to put them in here. Now you're also going to get a lot of steam coming up through here. So whatever you have on top, you got to be careful, because you don't want a whole bunch of moisture or steam to get up to it. So you got a lot of steam that's coming up here through the top. I begin to feel it now. It's getting really warm. So be careful with this. Wherever you put this steam will rise up a good 1.5 feet, 2 feet. So make sure that you have enough clearing. There you got it. It's done. So to turn it off, what you have to do is flip your switch, and then they recommend to also unplug it. Now, this is one of the tough parts about this whole thing. It is hotter than a mofo right now, guys. What I try to do is I'll turn this top half so that these ends are off-centered or offset, whatever. They're not lined up, okay? Because there's a lip for the egg holder and a lip for the top. Then I'll pick up the top on the plastic pieces. I'll lift and go in the opposite way, because there's a lot of steam in there. This I will put upside down somewhere, but this whole thing is hot. Now, because the eggs are also super duper hot, I'm going this route and put them in my water. And I'm going to leave this alone, because this is still super hot. I'm going to let it cool down. Once it cools down, follow the instructions in here, because it talks about cleaning this up. And so you're going to want to make sure that it's all cleaned up properly, so when you go to cook your next batch of eggs, you won't have a problem with any kind of contamination. So now what I like to do is take the eggs and put them in the freezer for a few moments. Not for very long, obviously. I don't want to freeze them. But what I want to do is I want to cool down this water, because I got really hot eggs. That cool water is already warmed up. You can go with ice water to get started and just do that. I don't have ice cubes. I guess I can make some, but I don't want to. And that way I'll just put it in the freezer for a few minutes, maybe 10-15 minutes max. Probably more like 5 or 10 minutes. And then I'll pull them out and I'll put them in the refrigerator just like this. So they're still in the water, but they're in the refrigerator. And on your little Tupperware container, I guess you could put a lid over it so you don't spill your water or whatever, but that's what I do. And then once they cool down and all that, I'll show you what they look like when they're cooled down and we open one up. Got my eggs chilled. You can store them any way you want. Got your egg, and I just pound it on here until you get all these little cracks. I don't know how well you can see, but I got little cracks all over this egg. And all I'm going to do now is just roll it around in my fingers here. Make sure that it's all done. And when I do so, I'm trying to slide it on the egg just a little bit. And I don't know how well you can tell, but some of it's beginning to come apart. And then when I'm ready, I just start peeling away. And if you're lucky, where's that membrane at? There's a membrane between the shell and the egg. And if you're lucky, you grab that membrane just right, and you get a lot of the egg off with no problem. Now, because sometimes I end up with little bits on my fingers, now I'm sure there's billions of different ways on how to peel an egg. This way is not the best way, it's not the worst way, it's my way, so therefore it's the best way. And you're done. Perfect every time. Concho likes the eggs too. So the Cuisinart egg cooker, it works. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comments. Pick yours up. I'll put a link down, an Amazon link down in the description field. And see you. Bye. Have fun.